Many of us have had lives on other planets.
Welcome to Soul Guide with Vondie Lozano, a show about past lives, life between lives, and this life.
Hey, everybody, I'm Vondie, and I'm really happy you're here today. So, I have been having a lot of people come for sessions who have had lives on other planets. So, I decided the reason they're being sent to me is so I can share them with you. So, let me go ahead and bring the slides up. And thank you. My apologies for missing last week. I'm still getting over this cold. No COVID though. Did 3 tests, so grateful for that. So I may be taking drinks as we're talking today. So traveler souls and galactic beings among us. So, first of all, what are traveler souls? These are what we used to call hybrid souls. So, those of us who, when I do a session, we ask, have you ever had a life on another planet? And they say yes. And sometimes they've mostly had lives on other planets and are having trouble adjusting to this life. So, these are some of the questions we ask that we get to find out more about where you come from and what you do in your life between lives. So, excuse me, have you ever had an incarnation on another physical world? Or this is where it gets really out there, or in another dimension. I had one person who was in this dimension, and all he could talk about was the color purple and all that he was experiencing there and the feelings and the connection. And it was quite beautiful. And on the other side, purple and dark blue are the highest levels. So I don't know if there's any correlation there, but I've had people in other dimensions. Another person in her past life, she was a healer, spiritual guide person, and she went from village to village, and her job was to fix the where the dimension was out of whack with. I don't even know how to explain it. It's hard for me to follow truthfully, but she just was a very advanced soul. But basically, these other dimensions overlapped on Earth, overlapped with the lives and the world on Earth. And she was going from village to village, basically kind of straightening out the dimension in those places. So if you have questions, feel free to post them. Hi, David. I see that you're here. And I will do my best to answer them. But some of them, when they get into the dimensions, it's so abstract, it's sometimes hard for me to take it all in, and plus I was still kind of at the beginning of my doing sessions when that person came. So when we ask about physical worlds, I'm a little more, I know what I'm doing. Does it still exist? What is its name? Tell us what it's like, topographically, what the planet is like compared to Earth, and then what you looked like on this planet. That's always really fascinating. And then another really interesting question, is there anyone in this life on this other place that is with you in your earth life today? And sometimes there is. And so that's also really fascinating. So this is the one where I probably had the most detail. Teg was a Plutonian life that someone had. And this wasn't in their life between lives. This is when I asked them to go to a past life. And this was where they went. In fact, I think it was their immediate past life, though it turned out they had had other lives on Earth. So their past life experience was on another planet. And it turns out they mostly had been on other planets. So they were a large, muscular, caveman like humanoid. Those were her words, with 3-toed, so I can picture it, webbed kangaroo feet and royal blue whale like skin. I wish I could see it other than in my imagination. And one of the things we may be working on, I'll tell you about more in a future episode, is a little bit of a show about life between lives. And I'm beyond this, like a more involved, longer version. And we're trying to figure out how on earth we would portray some of what happens on the other side. And this is one that I would have loved to see in 3D. He wore a loincloth and could swim and breathe underwater like dolphins, and also could fly. He had wings. And during battle with invaders from another planet, a brown planet, he was on a blue planet. He rode a winged horse. His planet is blue and striped, and she did refer to it as Pluto. So the client who came to me was she, but she was male in this life. And this is really interesting. One of her questions, when you have your life between lives session, you can bring 5 or 10 questions about this life, your purpose in life. One of her questions was, why did she have so many health issues, but in particular, digestive issues? And I thought it was really telling when it turned out on this other planet, in this other life, they didn't eat food. So food wasn't necessary. So she's not used to digesting. So anyway, we were both like blown away. So her name was Tag. Tag had a family growing up, parents. He had a wife. He had a grandfather who fought with him in the battle, was kind of a warrior. Tag died at 86 years old in a fire. And this soul, the person who came to see me, has only had 5 Earth lives. And so it explained some of why she was having trouble adjusting in this life. And she is here to bring love. And in particular, she had a family member that she was told had some very special gifts. And part of her job here was to watch over him. So thank you, by the way, to Tag and to the person who had that experience for letting me share that. All right. In this life, the person was a humanoid, half robot, half human, very highly developed. She didn't have a name. They went by numbers. Her number was B17. And so when she had her life between live session, she found out she only brought 20% of her energy into this life. And we ask, what is the rest of you doing on the other side? And sometimes we're doing multiple things and in multiple places. And so 60% of her was this humanoid, half human, half robot, amongst other humanoids that look the same. And she had a close colleague, um, B16. So that was his name. So I don't know if that means they were created around the same time. They had these numbers so close together, but they were close and working. Well, I don't even know close because they didn't have much emotion. They were just very intellectual beings, but they were working side by side. Logical, not emotional. She was an engineer collecting data from Earth and other places, here to gather emotional experiences and love. And like I said, feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And she actually initially in this session, this was her second time going to this place. She had had a previous life between life session. She initially went into the library and she put her hand in this I picture like a glass machine, glass case, but I can't remember if she said that or if I just pictured that. And she was uploading data from her experiences here on Earth into this humongous data bank. And I've had other souls who've gone to the library and done the same thing, where they were uploading data from their life here on Earth into this huge data bank. So she was here to gather emotional experiences and love. And there was something else I was going to say about her. Oh, this library, at first she was like, oh, good, I'm in the library. Because in her initial LBL, she was in a spaceship, but the library turned out to be the spaceship. So she was in a spaceship that was basically orbiting Earth, or that was my impression, or was connected to Earth, where she was going back and then downloading, or excuse me, uploading the experiences she was getting here into these data banks. And I know this is kind of mind blowing. I've never been someone who's been especially interested in these kinds of things, but this is what's coming. And I feel like the reason it's coming is because I'm supposed to be sharing it with you. And the message, she did have specific questions about her life and she did get some answers. But mostly she was told when she was like, should I do this or that? That it's all experiences and basically do what you want because whatever you're experiencing, you'll be uploading it for them to gather information. So it was very open ended. All right. The next one was, I don't know if the creature was from Andromeda or the name of the creature was Andromeda. It wasn't clear. But again, this was someone who was asked to go to a past life and they went to a life where they were in another place and they were a very different being. So they were a brown, bell shaped, jellyfish looking terrestrial creature. I picture like a mushroom with appendages like an octopus that they could use for getting around. They emerged in this kind of rocky terrain with octopus-like suction cups for, kind of grabbing the ground as they made their way around. They were created by human-like beings to explore space. So they actually connected with the spaceship that they were from as well. And there was a female partner created for them as well, and young creatures were created as well, like babies, basically. And one died, and the female partner was sad, and the creature, the Andromeda creature, wasn't sad. He was more logical, and the question was asked, "Is that specific to this creature or specific to the species?" And it was a little bit of both. And he was having a great old time being in this little spaceship, traveling all around the universe, I guess, and beyond. And since he was created specifically for that purpose, he was well suited to it and very much enjoyed it, and would come back to his little family of other creatures from time to time. But he was really happiest kind of being off on his own, exploring and having adventures. At the end of that life, he kind of melted into the ground, was laying sideways on actually on the spaceship, and the scientists, the people who created him, came and took his remains away to kind of examine him and see what had happened, why he had died. So the message, though, to the person having the session was have fun, have adventures. And he was like a cowboy being in the sense of his spirit was that of a cowboy, kind of an exploring off in the wilderness being. And so the message to the client was to be like a cowboy, to have fun, to have adventures, to go exploring, because this person can tend to be a little bit serious. So again, this creature life that the person keeps going, I don't know if I'm making this up because it seems so out there. But even in these extraterrestrial lives, you're being shown because there's a message from that life. Just like when you go to a earth life, you're being shown that life because there's a message related to what you're going through today or this life today. There was also someone who had an underwater life in Atlantis. And I don't know that much about Atlantis, but this was what came through. A long, small, whale like being with two yellow eyes, living life underwater, a very simple, beautiful life. And I've been reading some of Pete Smith's work on these kind of topics and um, people having lives on other planets. And I saw others who had lives on Atlantis. In fact, I saw some of these themes in other lives, some of these different types of lives I've been meeting, these beings I've been meeting. I saw some of that in the work that he's been doing. And Pete is the former head of the Newton Institute, and he now has his own institute, Quantum Consciousness, and he shared a paper he had written with me. So thank you, Pete. So a small whale like being sounds pretty bizarre, but strongly believable. I know, very bizarre. Lived life underwater, so could stay underwater. And there were other underwater beings, but none right nearby. It was a dark, simple, beautiful life. So we've often had easier lives. It is interesting. Thank you, Leticia. I know these are really interesting when I have them. I start asking their questions and then I sometimes start asking my own questions just for purely discovery purposes. But it was a simple, easy life. And oftentimes we've had easy lives. And sometimes even between difficult lives, we take a break and take an easy life. So this person again was kind of serious and was told no more angst in this life. And then one of the reasons was were shown this easy life was just to kind of like lighten up, relax in this easy life. It was beautiful. And this person in particular loved the water. So it was kind of like, oh, now I understand. So they had an underwater past life in Atlantis. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, well, actually, I have two more things, but um, the second to last thing is I've had a fair number of galactic beings. That's the only way I know how to refer to them. Pete refers to them as collective consciousness. Um, where they aren't even really separate beings. And these are extremely advanced souls, somewhat private and modest. So I'm not sharing a lot of specifics about any one session, but kind of more talking about them as a group. And when they cross over, they see colors. they don't even experience themselves as separate beings. They'll say, I see pink and orange or purple, or they just start telling me about all the colors. And when they tell me, like I'll be saying, when you cross over, you know, I'll be sort of narrating where I think we're going. And they're like, yeah, no, I'm not there. I'm in this place. I'm seeing colors. And I'll say, okay, are you one of these colors? Because it's almost like I picture cloud colors in the sky. And I'll say, are you one of these? And the answer I've received is something in the version of, first of all, they don't say I, they say we. So the more advanced the souls, the more they speak collectively as we, because we are all one on the other side. And the best phrase I heard back from someone once was, I said, are you one of them? They said, I'm not one of them, I'm part of them. So they are one entity and they are a piece of that entity. And they're here on earth to raise our vibrational level. So they're not here for themselves. So these are souls that I was once told by someone, put that book away because I have questions that I ask at different places and they're in this little notebook I have. And they said, put that book away. The questions in there don't apply because this soul didn't come for her own advancement. You know, normally we ask, why did you choose this life? What are you here to work on? What's your purpose? These souls are here to benefit those of us on earth. So they're here to sometimes raise our vibrational level. And I asked, are you raising as I'm talking to them as part of this galactic system? Are you raising the vibrational level by coming to Earth? Or are you raising the vibrational level from where you are in this galaxy? And they said both. So they were here to raise our vibrational level on Earth by incarnating among us, but also those galactic beings are connecting with Earth from afar and working on our vibrational level as well, which again is pretty mind blowing. And they also are uploading knowledge that they've been gathering here and are often light workers or being told to become light workers in this life. So those are what I have so far. Oh, wait, I forgot. I keep forgetting I have one last one. We've been talking about this a little bit so far, but I wanted to mention it. We've talked about this in other episodes. So we've had a fair number of aliens showing up on councils. And by aliens, I mean people who say, oh, he's an alien, he's a reptile alien. So up until now, the ones I've been talking about these sessions were people who are incarnating here on Earth who've had other lives as other beings in places beyond Earth. The aliens aren't incarnated on Earth, or at least these particular ones didn't appear to be. So, on Molly's counsel, and if you haven't had a chance, she has episodes that we've done, and you can look back at those. And same with Steve, though Steve is not his real name. In Molly's counsel, there was a prehistoric reptile, but she quickly said he's not scary. So, these on the council is where we meet our wise souls, those beings who are giving answers and helping us understand our purpose in this life, why we're here. This is where we bring our questions about everything. But one of her council members was a prehistoric reptile, but not scary. And on Steve's council, he also had a purple reptile that was an alien with a human body with wings. He was kind of stern, but he also had a praying mantis lady that was kind and loving. So I believe that was also an alien as well. And Steve, if you're listening, I also saw another praying mantis lady in Pete's paper when he was discussing these types of sessions. So it said praying mantis with lots of jewelry. And I think in Steve's session, it was a praying mantis and she was wearing gold jewelry. So your praying mantis is showing up in other places. I just wanted to let you know. And these are very wise, very advanced souls. So it's never scary. And for the most part, they don't look the way I guess they're portrayed in pop culture. In the councils, they show up very differently, like we're talking about here reptiles, uh, praying mantis, but they're human sized. You know, they have like human sized bodies, but they're not human and they're wise and advanced. So I'm just going to look and see. I'm not seeing any new questions. I know this is kind of out there. well, very out there, but this is what we're experiencing. And so many of us, including you, those of you listening, have had lives on other planets. And so I feel like these messages are needed to be shared with you. And let me see. Thank you. Greetings from the Netherlands. I get my first LBL. Yeah. Congratulations. And is it Renata? I think I'm saying that right. And David Ortiz, amazing. I know these sessions are just getting more and more amazing. Oh, and let me say a word about that. Some of this is, I think, more traveler souls, beings from other places are coming to Earth. So that's why we're getting more of them. But I also think more of them are coming in for sessions because Spirit is wanting us to communicate this message that we are part of something so much bigger. So more are coming, I think, to help us. And then we're also connecting with those of us who've had lives in other places, those of you. And I think they're coming to me because they want you to know. So that is my best guess. So amazing, yes. Interesting, yes. Bizarre, but strangely believable. Exactly. And when you're in the moment, it's just incredible. It's just incredible. So thank you for listening and letting me share that with you and watching. And let me announce I'm going to change gears here and I'll look back and see if we have any more questions. Henry wrote fascinating sessions. Hi, honey. Henry's my husband, who sometimes is in here helping. Today we have Leticia back. She's had COVID, but she is back. So very excited about that. Okay, so I wanted to let you know a couple things. So in August, we're already in August. I was supposed to do this episode last week, but we're a little bit behind. You're welcome, David. Thank you. In August, we're going to be talking more about rest and recharging. And so, in that spirit, we are planning our very first LBL, Life Between Lives retreat. So, I'm excited. As more details become available, I will share them with you. But I would like you to go to my website and we'll post that in the comments. And I'm going to say it out loud for those of you who are listening: lifebetweenliveshypnosis.com. Lifebetweenliveshypnosis.com, and sign up for our newsletter because, oh, there it is. And it's on the screen for those of you watching. So even if you're in our Facebook group or page, we aren't able to reach you with all the posts. You get maybe 10%, I think. So if you can go and sign up for our newsletter, lifebetweenliveshypnosis.com, there's a little pop-up that comes up. Then we will make sure that you learn about our first very special LBL retreat, and we'll bring all the details to you as soon as we know them. So I don't see any more questions. I don't see anything else that I'm supposed to mention. Oh, and at the retreat, just a quick little teaser. You'll get to learn more about Life Between Lives. You'll get to have your own past life session. We do that as a group. I haven't done them since COVID, so I'm very excited. And you'll even get a glimpse of your own life between lives. And that's something new and special that I have not offered before. So looking forward to it, very excited, and we'll let you know and bring you more information as soon as we have it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Can't wait to see you next time.
Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and follow. And join us next week for another episode of Soul Guide.